Hi, Mark Dankoff, political commentator, joins me live from San Antonio, Texas. Welcome to the program, sir. First of all, Mr. Dankoff, why do you think the Security Council is putting so much effort into the Syria case, but has largely ignored gross human rights abuses in other Arab states such as Bahrain, Yemen, Saudi Arabia and Morocco?
Well, it's obvious what's going on here, and that is that in the case of countries like Libya and Syria, this fits into the American-Israeli Saudi Arabian game plan, which is to facilitate regime change in governments that they don't like for their own reasons, and to ignore human rights violations within regimes that are friendly to the United States, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. I thought it was striking today, reading Russia Today's account of this situation in Syria, that so much of it corresponds with what Dr. Philip Giraldi has said in Pat Buchanan's magazine, The American Conservative, in an essay that came out last month entitled NATO versus Syria. This is clearly a situation where the United States and Israel in particular want the Assad regime replaced because they see this as a prelude to an overt attack on Iran, and they also want to destabilize Syria because of the Syrian support for Hezbollah and Hamas and an independent Palestinian state. So this is what's happening here, and it's all a part of the Project for the New American Century agenda, which goes back to July of 1996. And as people see this whole thing unfolding, I think the discrepancy here between stated objective and truth is quite clear. And to me, particularly when it comes to the Security Council, I think Russia and China are going to have to do whatever they can to effectively counter this, or there's going to be a bloodbath in Syria as a prelude to an American-Israeli preemptive war on Iran, which is obviously not in any decent person's interest around the world, including the interest of the average American, that has nothing to do with the Zionist and banking cabal that ultimately is behind this entire chessboard strategy.
Of course, in the case of Libya, you mentioned, we had Russia that was totally against the acts of NATO and the U.S. But despite all this, the U.S. and NATO unilaterally took their decisions and went into Libya. How much do you think Russia and China can help with the case of Syria? Is there a threat of another unilateral action taken, military intervention there?
I think there, in fact, is. Philip Giraldi, again, the former CIA station chief who writes for Mr. Buchanan's magazine and also for antiwar.com, has chronicled this in that essay. Basically, you have what appears to be a serious military buildup along the Syrian-Turkish border, principally in a place called Iskenderun, and this buildup is apparently the central drop-off point for what will be a NATO military intervention in Syria if that becomes necessary. And that, of course, is being augmented by promises from the Turkish foreign minister that Mr. Giraldi reports in his piece that indicate the willingness of the Turkish government to help NATO facilitate this. This also gets into the larger question of this so-called Syrian National Council and the so-called Free Syrian Army.
Right.
Who are these people, and who is financing them, and who is clearly providing them with arms? This is the same sort of thing in progression that we saw in Libya.
All right, Mr. Mark Dankoff, I'm sorry I have to leave it